Hey, good people, it's Kasaya here with you on this beautiful day, actually, in Mexico. I'm aware of it not being so beautiful in other places because of the cold, but it's beautiful here in San Miguel de Allende. Welcome to Sanctuary Sunday. It's January the 7th, and I want to talk a bit about forgiveness and patience. Um, and what triggered it for me was the other night when I went to drop off my laundry at this lavanderia. Um, just a couple blocks away from me. It's sort of the thing, you do here in Mexico. If you don't have a washer and dryer, you wash things by hand. A lot of that, a lot of clothes on the line. Which I have grown to love. But you can't wash everything. I can't wash everything by hand. Or you go to the lavanderia. And so I drop my things off in the morning before 10. And there's this little woman who's in her 70s, just working in there, working hard. Like it's a lot, a lot happening in there, a lot going on. It's this little, door and this, it's Mexico style. So it's got a back in the day feel. But anyway, she says, and I'm asking in my elementary preschool Spanish, basically, listan hoy? Will all of this be ready today? And she's like, no, no hoy. And I'm like, oh no, because it's freezing at night and I dropped off my bedding. So I'm like, dang, I'm gonna need my stuff, right? So then she's like, hasta siete. And so 7. And I'm like, okay, cool. Perfect. As long as I'm getting it today, before 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning when I tend to go to sleep, I'm good. And so I did something that I didn't normally do. I've gone there maybe 3 or 4 times in the 4 months I've been here. And I took a picture of my bolsa, my bag with my stuff, and there was a blanket on top, blanket I've had since I was like 20. I took a picture of it. In my mind, after I'm like, are you worried that like you're not gonna have your stuff? Why are you taking a picture, right? And that was interesting. So when I left, I immediately began to shift my thinking like, oh no, all is well. I was tripping. All is well and aligned and great. And, there exists no error, no loss. So then it's later now. I'm going to get my stuff at 6 because in my head, I'm thinking she said 6. So I get there and she's like, oh, siete. And I'm like, oh, snap. All right, cool, right? So I go back home and all of this is walking. So I get back home and I, count down the time and I get there and now it's sort of dark, time change. And she and everything is wrapped nicely and folded and she places a clear plastic bag with my blanket on the, counter. And it's like, all right. And I'm thinking, no, tengo más ropas. Like I have, my Spanish is terrible. I shouldn't say that. My Spanish isn't up to par yet. So I'm like, no, I have a gang of stuff, right? Not a gang, but I'm like, I have jeans and because I don't have a lot here in Mexico. I got rid of all of my stuff, right? When I moved here, so I'm like, snap, I'm gonna need more than this blanket, right? I'm gonna need the socks I dropped off and sweatshirts and towels. So then I feel this sort of panic and this impatience, just sort of, and then I had to bring myself to a place of drop that back down, be with what is, be in the present of now, with grace and ease and flow through this process. Because no matter what's happening, this is what is, right? So panic isn't going to lead to progress. And impatience isn't going to render an outcome that you want. It's just going to get me riled up and she's going to be frazzled. Then the language barrier. So it's like pause, breathe. We have to remember to breathe Because inside of the breath, inside of the pause of the breath, you have clarity, and you have patience, and you have understanding. And I immediately started to, well, not immediately, I started to shift. All this was in the span of 5 to 10 minutes, so it wasn't too long. But I began to shift from, where's my stuff? Oh no, dang, to, okay, this has never happened before. This sweet little lady right here is, just golden, right? She's patient for one, and she's not frazzled, but she's also concerned and wants a resolution, I can tell. So she raises the counter, the wooden counter, pase, so that I could pass. And then she's pointing at different bags like, is it this? And I'm like, nope. This one? Nope. And I'm like, dang. So then there was one bag, and I saw a blanket. I saw my throw in there, and I'm like, oh, snap. That's it. And when we open it up, I'm like, yes, no, yes, no. It was a mixed bag of my things and a man who had just left. And I felt such gratitude, right? Because I shifted from impatience to compassion, into being in that moment, knowing that all was well. If you just know all is well, the magic just keeps showing up, right? So I got my things, and I'm like, oh, yay. And I'm like, estoy agradecida. I'm grateful, like, yay for my stuff, because I need my little 2 pair of jeans, right? So I put all my stuff in my bolsa, my bag, and I turned to her, and she's like, oh, in Spanish, these things are for the muchacho who left, and regresarle, like he'll come back, right? He'll return. And so when I was turning away from her with my bag and everything, she went, gracias. And I was like, right? Like her saying, thanking me for my patience, thanking me for my compassion, thanking me for my understanding. And I just gave her the biggest hug. And I'm just like, Feliz año, like good year. And this is small in the grand scheme of things, right? Because I have money to buy more jeans. And, you have this little bitty, smaller than me, woman who's in her 70s in there doing this. And I just thought, patience and forgiveness of error, forgiveness of mistakes, our own and that of others, and finding the space to ride that out, to ride the forgiveness out, so that you can get to compassion, and you can get to the joy that's on the other side of forgiveness. You're set free when you forgive, right? And to have someone who, I guess you could say, was the holder of the mistake, the cause of the situation, which she wasn't. The cause was my initial picture taking, thinking that something was going to go wrong potentially. That was the cause. She wasn't the cause. I just manifested the effect, right, of my initial cause. Ding, ding. Monitor the thoughts. So, but to have someone say thank you for being okay with this chaos in this moment, for the imperfection of this moment. My eyes got watery, and she hugged me back like it was her first hug in a long time, and it's like, I want to remember that. Even in past relationships and stuff, I wasn't aware that I had a very small margin for error, and that, because, I grew up and it's like, you just had to be about it. It wasn't about being perfect, but it was about being perfect, right? Or about just always staying on point. And that's not cool. It's not cool to always just stay on point, because it's not real. And it doesn't open the door to allow you to embrace another person's imperfections. And so when we're patient with ourselves in the process, and we're forgiving of ourselves, then we can open ourselves up to be patient with another person's imperfections and their flaws and their quirks. And when we do that, it just expands. We create openings in our own lives. We manifest the ability to connect more deeply and fully because there are no barriers. To be unforgiving is to create a barrier. To be impatient is to create a barrier. But to be patient, you just, even saying the words, you hear the space inside of patient. There's room in there. To be forgiving, you have to open yourself up. Forgiveness doesn't mean you agree. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you're adversely affected by what happened. Forgiveness just means I'm being with what is. And it's not the end of the world. And I can change, even if it's my perception, or this person has their own thing, And I think for me too, childhood was one of those areas where I had to tap into forgiveness for the way of things, for the things that had gone missing, for the controlled environment that didn't allow for the free spirit, for what I didn't agree with, for what I saw that I didn't like, what I experienced that didn't sit well with me. But when we say, I'm done with that, like, I'm going to let that go because we're all human. We all have a backstory. And not everyone resolves the backstory, so it becomes the front page story in their lives, a story that's replayed and replayed, so they pass that down. Things may be passed down, like the effect of the cause. Things may be passed down, but it doesn't mean we have to pick it up and carry it with us. We can stop, we can pause, we can forgive, and we can set ourselves free. In that moment there in the lavanderia, that was the moment where I was like, good job, sis. Like, good job for transforming that. Because I could have been like, damn, I can't believe, reactive. We all have the ability to react. It comes from panic. It comes from dissatisfaction. It comes from fear. It comes from a whole lot of things that when you analyze those things aren't good things. Panic doesn't lead to progress. Panic leads to stagnation. Panic could have been me just running out the door like, this is some, right? But that's not real. What's real is be here now. Don't be in the past of your childhood. Don't be in the past of your job. Don't be in the past of a relationship, but be here now. And allow yourself to create openings in the here and now. Patience expands us. Impatient contracts us. Forgiveness expands us. To be unforgiving contracts us. Things that contract and limit us do not lead to prosperity and abundance and bounty because you're in this box of, you're in that. Feel good to you? Doesn't feel good. So when we look at those things that don't feel good and we say, I'm done with not feeling good, even in this moment, like, this is irritating. I'm aware of my irritation, but I'm going to flow through it to get to the other side. Because forgiveness allows us to get to the other side. Patience allows us to get to the other side. And all of those things are within us. No one taps us and says, ding, you're on the other side. Boop, now you're patient. No. And I don't ask for patience because I don't want to go through experiences where I got to be tried to see if I become patient. I just practice it in the moment, being aware in the moment. So today, on this fabulous day, No matter what your weather situation is, if you snowed in, if you like this, because if I move to the other side of the room, I'm going to be a little like this, even though the sun is out. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have the opportunity to free yourself from anything that's holding you. Forgive yourself for the things that you may have done, for the thoughts that you may harbor, for any resentments you may hold, and forgive others for their imperfections and the ways that you feel they've done you wrong. Shift your focus from them and put it on yourself so that you don't become them, so that you don't follow in their footsteps, and create a new path, a path of expansion, of vitality, of vibrancy, of abundance, of wealth, of perfect health. And you need the ingredients of patience, the ability to sustain, the ability to persevere, the ability to be with things now. And in order to do that, you have to let some things go. It's okay to separate yourself. You can love someone and never talk to them again. That's fine. As long as you're free, right? As long as there's nothing lingering. So I want to encourage patience in the moment, which means you're monitoring your emotions, your thoughts around what's happening. Breathe. Because inside of the pause is an opening for change. Forgive. Because not forgiving doesn't serve you. It doesn't contribute to your health or your wealth, your well-being in any way. It doesn't make you look good in anyone's eyes. It's like, oh, wow, I'm not gonna, your loss. So may you have wings to fly inside of your freedom once you let things go and elevate to your level of being. Enjoy this day. It's magnificent. We're alive. Let us say gratitude and abundance. Gratitude and abundance. Let us say wealth, success, prosperity. Wealth, success, prosperity. Let us say perfect health and joy. Perfect health and joy. Let us say thank you. Thank you. Have a great day. Be about it. Bang, bang.